The folder hit the conference table like a verdict. Not loud. Not theatrical. Just heavy. Final. Across from me, Brittany Caldwell, my VP, sat with her hands neatly folded, nails perfect, eyes doing that polished corporate thing where they look concerned without actually feeling it. Next to her was HR Denise Harper, already holding a pen like she was about to sign my name out of existence. "We're eliminating your role," Brittany said, voice smooth as glass. I didn't open the folder. I didn't need to. 15 years in one company teaches you the shape of a severance package the way grief teaches you the sound of your own breathing. 2 weeks per year. A few months of health coverage. Career support. A list of links that basically translates to, "Please exit quietly so we can pretend you were never here." Denise slid the paper toward me. "We'll need your badge and company devices returned by Friday. IT will coordinate." Friday. My last day at Northbridge Solutions. The place where I helped build the backbone of our flagship fintech engine, Clear Ledger, the system banks use to reconcile millions of transactions without choking. My system. My team. 6 people I fought to hire, trained, protected. 6 people who still believed this place rewarded loyalty. I nodded slowly like this was normal. Like my chest wasn't tightening in that specific way it does when betrayal finally stops pretending. "I understand," I said. Relief flickered across their faces, because I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't make it messy. Brittany tried to soften it. "You've been invaluable. This isn't personal. The company is just moving in a new direction." I almost laughed. New direction. Like experience has an expiration date. I stood up, smoothed my blazer, and kept my voice calm. "Is there anything else?" "That's all," Denise said, clicking her pen. "We appreciate your professionalism." I walked out and past the glass-walled executive suite where the leadership team was meeting. Through the window, I saw Ethan Pierce, RCO, laughing at a slide that said Next Gen Growth. The same man who praised our innovation on stage last quarter and somehow never mentioned my name once. I shut my office door, sat down, and pulled out my personal phone. One text. One line. "It's happening. Friday is my last day." The reply came instantly. "The papers are ready. Tonight. No mistakes." I stared at the screen, heartbeat steady. Friday I would leave quietly. But Monday was going to make them say my name out loud. The place was called the Fulton Room, tucked into a quiet corner of downtown Chicago, the kind of restaurant where the lighting is soft and the silence costs extra. Everyone talks like they're afraid the walls might forward it to someone. Got there early. Not because I was eager, because my hands needed something to do besides shake. When Miles Donovan walked in, he didn't smile the way people do when they're trying to be charming. He smiled like someone who already knew the ending, and still felt angry about what they did to you. He slid into the booth across from me, shrugged off his coat, and looked me straight in the face. "So," he said quietly, "they finally pulled the trigger." I exhaled through my nose. "Friday. They want me gone by Friday." Miles's jaw tightened. "After 15 years. After 15 years, I repeated, like saying it twice would make it less unreal. Server came by. Water. Bread. Polite nods. The usual performance. Then the server left, and Miles leaned in like we were back in the real world. "Tell me what you found," he said. I didn't answer right away. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folded printout. Nothing flashy. Just paper. The kind that ruins careers. "They screwed up," I said. "Someone forwarded me an email chain by mistake. Strategy memo. A timeline." I tapped the page. They were planning to file for ownership on Clear Ledger's core engine upgrade, without an inventor listed. Just, company-developed technology. And guess what was on the same timeline? Miles didn't blink. "You." "My layoff," I said. Right before the filing. Like they wanted me gone so nobody could ask why my name wasn't anywhere near it. Miles stared at the paper, then looked up at me. "That's not restructuring," he muttered. "That's theft with a nicer font." I swallowed. My voice got smaller for a second. "They think I'm old. They think I'm tired. They think I'll take the severance and disappear. Miles slid a slim folder across the table. You didn't disappear. I didn't open it yet. I just stared at it like it might bite. What is this? Yes. Options, he said. Protection. Leverage. And a way to make sure they can't rewrite the story once you're out the door. Finally opened it. And right there, black ink, clean lines, was my name. Not as a footnote. Not as support. As the creator. My throat tightened. Miles, what did you do? He didn't answer immediately. He just leaned closer and lowered his voice. I didn't do anything, he said. I just filed what you should have filed a long time ago. And I made sure it's time-stamped before they try their move. Then he paused one beat too long. And Sam, there's something else, he said. Something they don't know you know yet. My stomach dropped. What? I whispered. Miles's eyes locked onto mine. They already started the patent paperwork. My phone buzzed at 2:17 a.m. and I swear my heart stopped before my eyes even opened. Not a call. Message. Just one line from Miles. They filed. And they used your work. I sat straight up in bed, sheets tangled around my legs, staring at the glow of my screen like it was a warning flare. My apartment was dead silent. Chicago winter quiet, except for the heater kicking on and off like it couldn't decide whether to save me or let me freeze. I typed back with shaking thumbs. How do you know? 3 dots. A friend in their legal vendor loop. He saw the draft. Ugly. I didn't go back to sleep after that. Couldn't. Because once you know someone is trying to erase you while you're still breathing, you start noticing everything. Thursday morning at Northbridge felt like walking through a building that had already decided I wasn't real. People smiled too carefully. Conversations died mid-sentence when I came around corners. The elevator doors closed a little faster. Even the security guard at the lobby desk avoided eye contact, like guilt was contagious. Kept my face calm anyway. Because calm is a weapon when the other side expects you to crack. I got to my office early and started gathering what I needed. Not company secrets, not anything illegal. Just the truth. The kind of truth that doesn't scream. It just sits there and waits until someone tries to lie. I pulled up emails with date stamps, meeting notes, JIRA tickets, version histories. Every time I warned them about a compliance risk. Every time I suggested filing. Every time they said, we'll handle it later. Later. That word had kept them comfortable. That word had kept me quiet. By 9 a.m. Marcus Reed, my lead engineer, knocked on my door. He looked like he hadn't slept either. Sam, he said softly. People are saying it's official. That you're out. I didn't correct him. This doesn't make sense, he said. You are Clear Ledger. We all know that. I gave him a tired smile. They don't see Clear Ledger, Marcus. They see the next quarterly slide deck. His eyes narrowed. Is this because of Brittany? I looked away for half a second, just long enough for him to read the answer. Marcus's voice dropped. What are you going to do? I wanted to say, I'm going to burn them down. But I didn't. 'Cause that's not how you win. So I told him the truth I could afford to tell. I'm going to protect what I built. He swallowed. And us. That question hit harder than the layoff folder ever could. Because my team didn't deserve to be collateral damage. They weren't the ones who played games with ownership. They were just loyal. Too loyal. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. I'm not leaving you behind. His eyes searched my face. You're serious. I've never been more serious, I said. That afternoon, HR sent a calendar invite titled Transition Coordination like they were scheduling a dentist appointment, not ripping a life out by its roots. Brittany walked past my office twice, pretending she wasn't checking whether I was crying. I didn't give her that. Instead, I opened my notebook, the one I always kept for architecture sketches, and I wrote 2 words at the top of a clean page. Monday morning. Because that's when everything would start moving. Not in whispers. In headlines. At 4:58 p.m. my phone buzzed again. This time it was Miles. I need you to see something tonight. In person. No screenshots. I stared at the message, pulse climbing. Then another text came through, and it made my stomach go hollow. They didn't just file. They named someone else as the inventor. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about pushing me out. They were trying to steal my legacy while I was still inside the building. The first time I saw my invention under someone else's name, I didn't feel angry right away. Felt numb. Like my brain couldn't accept what my eyes were reading, so it tried to shut down instead. Miles didn't meet me at a fancy restaurant this time. He texted me an address and a time. No emojis, no small talk. Just coordinates like we were meeting for something illegal instead of something right. It was a quiet office above a law firm near LaSalle Street, the kind of building where the elevators smell like old money and bad decisions. Miles buzzed me in. No handshake. No, how are you holding up? He just said, sit. Sat. He dropped a folder on the desk. And there it was. A draft patent filing. Clear Ledger's core upgrade. The engine I built in the margins of my life, laid out like it belonged to anyone except me. And listed under inventor. Brittany Caldwell. I stared at the name until the letters started to blur. No, I whispered. No. She doesn't even understand the architecture. She couldn't explain the routing logic if you gave her a whiteboard and an hour. Miles's voice went flat. That's why they needed you gone before anyone asked questions. My mouth went dry. So they didn't just steal it. He nodded once. They crowned her with it. I pushed the folder away like it burned. Then I leaned forward, palms on my knees, trying to control my breathing. Because this is the part where people expect you to unravel. And I refused to give them the satisfaction. Okay, I said. One word. Controlled. Miles raised an eyebrow. Okay. Yeah, I repeated, voice low. Okay. Because now I know exactly what this is. He watched me carefully. Tell me. This isn't a restructure, I said. It's a cleanup. They're wiping fingerprints. They're taking the crown and burying the worker. Miles nodded. And you have proof. I have a trail, I corrected. Emails, tickets, commit history, meeting notes. And I have the timeline that shows they planned my exit around the filing. Miles leaned in. Then we move fast. I swallowed. What about my team? Already drafted, he said. Offers. Real titles. Real pay. Real protection. My chest tightened because that was the first time in years someone made it clear my people mattered, not just the product they shipped. Then Miles slid one last page across the desk. And this, he said quietly, is what they're doing next. I looked down. A screenshot of an internal IT request. Access termination. Effective immediately. Name. Tonight. I blinked hard. But my last day is Friday. Miles' eyes didn't soften. That was the polite version. This is the real one. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification. Northbridge Solutions. Your password has been reset. I stared at Miles, blood rushing in my ears. And all I could think was, if they're cutting me off early, what are they trying to erase before morning? By the time I got to my car, it wasn't just my password that had been reset. It was my entire life. I stood in the parking garage under that cold, buzzing fluorescent light, phone in one hand, keys in the other, staring at the notification like it was a breakup text from a person I'd given everything to. Northbridge Solutions. Your password has been reset. No warning. No call. No courtesy. Just gone. I tried logging in anyway. Muscle memory. Habit. Oh. Denied. Invalid credentials. My chest tightened, and for a second I couldn't tell if I was angry or embarrassed. Because the truth is, getting betrayed hurts. But getting erased, that hits different. I called Denise in HR. Straight to voicemail. Course. Then I called Marcus. He picked up on the second ring, voice strained. Sam. You're still in, I said. Not a question. Check. Barely, he said. AT is sweeping access. People are getting kicked out of systems one by one. They said it's standard security procedure. Standard. Like ripping someone's hands off the wheel while they're still driving. Closed my eyes. Listen to me. Do not touch anything you don't need. Don't download. Don't forward internal stuff. I'm not giving them a reason to accuse you of anything. I wasn't going to, Marcus said, quick. But what are they doing? They're cleaning the scene, I said. That's what this is. There was a pause. I could hear his breathing through the phone. Then he said, quieter. They're saying Brittany is the inventor. My grip tightened on the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I saw it, I said. Silence. Then Marcus's voice broke in a way that wasn't loud. Just real. That's sick. Yeah, I whispered. It is. I stared out at the concrete, the painted lines, the empty spaces. And I felt something settle in me. Not panic. Clarity. Because if they were moving this fast, it meant they were scared. And scared people make mistakes. My phone buzzed again. A calendar invite from an unknown sender. Subject: mandatory meeting, legal and compliance review. Time: 7 a.m. tomorrow. Location: executive suite, floor 34. And right beneath it, one line in the description that turned my stomach cold. You are required to attend. I stared at it, heartbeat steady, mouth dry. Because if they were dragging me into a legal room at 7 a.m., it wasn't to say goodbye. It was to set me up. At 6:43 a.m. I was sitting in my car outside Northbridge, staring at the building like it might blink first. Downtown Chicago was still waking up. Streetlights fading, coffee shops unlocking doors, people walking fast like they had somewhere safe to be. Meanwhile, I was about to walk into a room where the air was going to taste like traps. Miles called me before I stepped out. You're not going in alone, he said. I didn't ask you to come, I replied, but my voice didn't sound tough. It sounded tired. I know, he said. That's why I'm coming anyway. My throat tightened. They're going to try to flip this on me. That's the plan, Miles said. You walk in, they corner you, they get you to say one wrong sentence. Or they push you to sign something out of fear. I looked up at the 34th floor. Still dark except for one strip of light. Someone was already up there. What do I do? Asked. Miles didn't hesitate. You say as little as possible. You don't admit to anything. You don't agree to anything. And you remember this. If they had real evidence, they wouldn't need a 7 a.m. ambush. I exhaled slowly. Then I walked in. The lobby smelled like polished marble and fake calm. Security watched me too closely, like I'd already been labeled a problem. I handed over my ID. The guard scanned it, frowned, scanned again. Looks like your badge access is limited, he said. Yeah, I replied, forcing my voice to stay neutral. I'm aware. He handed it back like it was contaminated. The elevator took forever. Each floor number flashing felt like a countdown. When the doors opened on 34, the hallway was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that tells you people are waiting behind closed doors. The executive suite conference room had glass walls, but the blinds were drawn. Inside I could see silhouettes moving, sitting, watching. I walked in. Brittany Caldwell was already there, sitting at the head of the table like she belonged there. Next to her was Paul Renner, Northbridge's in-house counsel, and beside him, Denise Harper from HR. Two other men I didn't recognize sat across, suits crisp, expressions blank. Brittany smiled like we were about to discuss quarterly goals. Sam, she said. Thanks for coming in early. I didn't sit. You said I was required. Paul's lips tightened. This is a compliance matter. I glanced at the printed stack in front of them. My name was on the top page. Compliance with what? Asked. Paul slid a document forward. We have concerns regarding proprietary information and potential misconduct. There it was. The setup. Denise leaned in, voice gentle like she was offering me tea. We just need clarification. If you cooperate, this can be handled smoothly. Smoothly. Like a burial. I looked at Brittany, then at Paul. What exactly are you accusing me of? Brittany sighed like she was disappointed in me. We're not accusing. We're investigating. We have reason to believe you accessed restricted systems after your termination process began. I almost laughed. I almost did. Because it was so bold it was insulting. You reset my password last night, I said calmly. I couldn't access anything if I tried. Paul didn't flinch. Our logs show attempted access from an external device. I held his stare. Then you should investigate whoever did that. Because it wasn't me. Brittany tilted her head. Sam. Don't make this harder. You've had a long career here. Let's not end it in a way that damages your reputation. That sentence wasn't a warning. It was a threat. And then Paul pushed another paper toward me. Sign this, he said. An acknowledgement that you understand your obligations and that you have not retained any proprietary materials. I didn't touch it. Because once you sign their paper, you're living inside their story. I straightened my shoulders, voice steady. I'll have my attorney review anything you want me to sign. Brittany's smile slipped. Paul's eyes narrowed. Do you have an attorney? I paused. Just long enough to make the room feel my control. Yes, I said. I do. Brittany leaned back, suddenly colder. Then this conversation is over. Denise stood. We'll be in touch. I turned to leave, and that's when Brittany spoke again. Soft, like she wanted it to sound casual. Oh, Sam, she said. Before you go, you should know the board is excited about the patent filing. It's a big moment for the company. My stomach dropped, but my face didn't move. Because she said it like she was twisting the knife. And waiting to see if I'd bleed. I walked out without a word. But the second I hit the elevator, my phone buzzed. Text from Miles. They just made a mistake. Big one. Call me now. Miles wasn't yelling when I called him. That's what scared me. His voice was quiet, clipped, like he was standing over something broken and trying not to cut himself on the pieces. Sam, he said, listen to me. They just handed us motive and timeline on a silver platter. I stepped out of the elevator into the lobby and kept walking like I wasn't suddenly lightheaded. What are you talking about? That comment Brittany made, he said. About the board being excited for the patent filing. So it happened inside a meeting where they were trying to accuse you of misconduct. Miles snapped, still controlled but sharp. That means the investigation wasn't about security. It was about pressuring you while they move your work under her name. That's retaliation. And it's sloppy. I swallowed and pushed through the revolving door into the cold. The wind hit my face like a wake-up slap. Miles continued. Also, Paul Renner told you they have logs of attempted access from an external device, right? Yeah. Good, he said. Because I just got confirmation from our contact. Those logs aren't clean. The access attempts came from an IP block tied to Northbridge's own VPN gateway. Not your home. Not your phone. Their network. I stopped walking. You're saying? My voice dropped. They tried to frame me from inside the building? I'm saying if they want to claim you did it, they'll have to explain why the traffic routes back to their infrastructure, Miles said. And if they can't explain it, it looks like tampering. My stomach turned. Not because I was surprised but because I could picture it so clearly. Quiet IT request. Reset. A few attempted logins. A paper trail designed to make me look guilty enough to shut me up. Miles exhaled. Here's what we do next. You don't contact them directly. You don't defend yourself in emails. You don't react emotionally. We document. Then we strike where it hurts. Where? Yes. Ownership, he said. They can smear your name all day. But they can't smear timestamps. I got into my car and just sat there, hands on the wheel, trying to calm the shaking in my fingers. My team, I whispered. They're going to drag them into this. I know, Miles said. I'm drafting protective offers and NDAs for your people. Quietly. No pressure. Just a lifeline. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Okay. Then my phone buzzed. New email. From Ethan Pierce, the CEO. Subject line. Come to my office. Now. No greeting. No context. No HR. Just a demand. I stared at it, pulse rising, because when a CEO calls you in alone right after legal tries to corner you, it's never to apologize. And I had a feeling he wasn't coming to talk. He was coming to threaten. Ethan Pierce didn't ask if I had time. He didn't say please. He didn't even pretend this was a conversation. When I walked into his office, he was standing by the window with the skyline behind him, hands in his pockets like he owned the whole city. He turned when he heard the door click shut, slow, calm, almost bored. "Sam," he said, like we were old friends and not 2 seconds away from a collision. I didn't sit. "You wanted to see me." He gestured toward the chair anyway. "Sit." I stayed standing. "No." That small refusal changed the air. His smile tightened. "Okay. Stand." He walked back to his desk and picked up a folder, my folder. The same one Brittany had slid across the table yesterday. He tapped it like it was a weapon. "You've put us in an awkward position," he said. I stared at him. "I didn't reset my password. I didn't try to access anything. Your people did that." Ethan's eyes hardened for half a second, then softened again into that executive calm that's never real. "Sam, you've always been smart. Let's not do this the hard way." "There's a hard way." "Yes." He leaned forward slightly. "We can make sure you leave with dignity. A generous severance. Clean reference. No drama. And the patent," said. "Great. No deter." He didn't flinch. That was the scary part. He just sighed like I was being difficult. "The company is filing to protect its interests." "My interests," I corrected. "My work." He shrugged, actually shrugged like 15 years of my life was just a rounding error on a balance sheet. "You were compensated." I felt heat rise behind my eyes, but I kept my voice steady. "Compensated doesn't mean owned." Ethan's tone sharpened. "Sam, you were an employee. You built this here." "No," I said, and I let the word hang. "I built the upgrade on my own time. My own machine. Outside your resources. And you know that." His jaw flexed. "That's not how it's going to be framed." There it was. The truth. Not what happened. What they planned to say happened. Ethan opened the folder and slid a document across his desk without looking down. Like he'd done it 1,000 times. "A mutual separation agreement," he said. "Sign it, and this ends quietly." I glanced at the first page. The language was clean and polite, but I knew what was inside it without reading every line. Non-disparagement. No claims. No future litigation. No talk. No truth. Muzzle. I looked back up at him. "If I sign this, I'm agreeing to disappear." Ethan's voice lowered. "If you don't sign it, we open an investigation. We notify your professional contacts. We make it messy. We make it public." He leaned in, eyes steady. "Do you really want your name dragged through courtrooms at this stage in your life?" That sentence wasn't just intimidation. It was ageism dressed up as concern. My hands clenched at my sides. I forced them to relax. "Ethan," I said softly, "you're threatening me." He smiled like I'd said something cute. "I'm offering you a graceful exit." I shook my head once. "I'm not signing anything without counsel." The smile disappeared. Ethan's voice went cold. "Then you leave us no choice." I turned toward the door. And as my hand touched the handle, he said, almost casually, "You should also know. Brittany's presenting the invention to the board this afternoon. With or without your cooperation." My stomach dropped. Because if she presented it today, under her name with his backing, they were about to cement the lie in front of people who could fund it, defend it, and bury me with it. I walked out, breathing controlled but my mind screaming. Then my phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. They just locked me out. And security is asking questions about you." Marcus's text hit me like a punch. For a second I couldn't breathe. My hands went cold on the steering wheel like the car suddenly wasn't real. Called him immediately. He picked up, whispering. "I'm in the hallway," he said. They're saying there was suspicious activity tied to your account. They're asking if I ever had access to your credentials. My stomach twisted. Marcus, I said slow and steady, listen to me. You say one sentence and one sentence only. I never had access to her credentials. That's it. Don't explain. Don't volunteer. Don't try to be helpful. I know, he said, voice tight. But they're acting like you did something. That's because they need me to look guilty, I said. It's the only way they get away with what they're doing. I turned the car around. I shouldn't have gone back. I knew that. But my team wasn't a resource to me. They were people. And I wasn't going to let them get cornered just because someone upstairs wanted to protect a lie. When I walked into the lobby, the vibe was wrong immediately. Security wasn't just alert. They were watching. The guard I'd nodded to for years didn't nod back. I spotted Marcus near the elevator. Hands open at his sides like he was trying to look harmless. Two security guys stood too close, pretending they weren't looming. I walked straight over. Hey, I said calm. What's going on? One of the guards looked at my badge, then at me. Ma'am, we were instructed. By who? Cut in, still calm. He hesitated. That told me everything. Executive directive. Course. Marcus's eyes met mine, and I could see the fear he was trying to swallow. Not fear of getting fired. Fear of being blamed for something he didn't do. I turned to him. You're not answering questions without representation, I said. Understood. He nodded once. Hard. Then my phone buzzed again. They're accelerating. Brittany is about to present to the board in 20 minutes. My pulse spiked. I glanced toward the executive elevators. Private access, locked doors, controlled narratives. If Brittany walked into that boardroom and sold the lie cleanly, it wouldn't just be a filing anymore. It would be a story. Their story. I stepped aside and called Miles. They're trying to smear me through security, I said. They're dragging Marcus into it. Miles's voice went ice cold. Then we stopped playing defense. How? Yes. We serve them, he said. Today. Before that board meeting ends. My throat went tight. Serve them with what? Miles paused. Just long enough to make my skin prickle. With an injunction request, he said. And the inventor proof. We put their board on notice that they're about to endorse fraud in real time. I stared at the executive floor, 34 stories up, where my work was being paraded like a stolen trophy. And then Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked down and his face went pale. What? Yes. He swallowed. Brittany just emailed the whole leadership group. He turned the screen toward me. Subject line. Reminder. IP violation protocol. And the first sentence. Effective immediately. Any unauthorized use or disclosure of clear ledger technology will be treated as theft. I felt my blood turn to fire. Because she wasn't just stealing my work. She was setting the stage to make me look like the thief. Before she walked into that boardroom and claimed my invention as hers. And in that moment I realized. The next 20 minutes were going to decide who owned the truth. The craziest part. I didn't feel panic. Felt calm. The kind of calm you get when you finally realize. Oh. This is what they've been doing. This is the game. Miles called me again, voice sharp. Sam. We have a process server downstairs. He's heading up now. Brittany's presentation is about to get interrupted in front of the board. I stared up at the executive floor, my pulse steady. Are you sure the paperwork is solid? Rock solid, he said. Emergency injunction request filed. Notice served. They've been warned. If they keep presenting and marketing that patent as hers after this moment, it gets ugly for them. I looked at Marcus. He was still standing there like he didn't know where to put his hands, like he was trying not to look guilty in a room that wanted him guilty. You're coming with me, I told him. What? He whispered. I'm not letting them corner you, I said. Not today. We moved toward the elevators. Public ones because executive access was locked, until security stepped in front of us. "Ma'am," one guard said, "you can't go up." I smiled without warmth. "Watch me." He raised his hand like he was about to physically stop me. And right then, like the universe had timing, another man walked in wearing a suit that didn't belong to this building. He held a thick envelope, scanned the lobby, and asked loud enough for everyone to hear, "Who do I speak to for Northbridge Solutions?" "Legal counsel Paul Renner." Silence. The guard froze like someone hit pause. Paul came down the hallway fast, face tight like he already knew what this was. The man handed him the envelope and said, "Clear and professional. You've been served. Time-stamped at 9:41 a.m. This is formal notice regarding the patent filing and the misattribution of inventorship." Paul's eyes flicked over the first page, and I watched the color drain out of his face. Brittany's boardroom presentation wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a liability. Paul turned, saw me, and for the first time all morning, he didn't look confident. He looked trapped. "You," he said quietly, like the word tasted bad. I stepped forward. "I told you I'd have counsel review anything you wanted me to sign," I said. "Now you can review something." Marcus exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for days. Then my phone buzzed, one more email. From Ethan Pierce. Subject: "Let's resolve this privately." I stared at it, then looked up at that executive floor again. Because I knew what was happening up there right now. A room full of powerful people reading a document that basically said, "If you back this lie, you're backing fraud." And I wasn't going to lie to you. I waited. Not for revenge. For the sound of the truth finally landing. A few hours later, Miles texted me 4 words that didn't feel real until I read them twice. Board halted the filing. Brittany removed. Ethan stepping down. I sat in my car and just breathed. For the first time in a long time I didn't feel small. Felt free. And the lesson I carried out of that building wasn't complicated. If you build something that matters, document it. Protect it. Claim it. Because people will take what you don't defend. And call it business. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you've lived through something similar, share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.